Hey everyone, welcome to the Ball Bouncing Creative Challenge. Today I'll be showing you how to animate this ball in After Effects. Now, this is a little boring, but I mean, it's the first step, you gotta always have the first step. It's the chores. It's the chores of animation. You gotta start it first, and it's important. So let's get this to it. Alright, first, you got your ball here, and then you got the background. Let's lock that background by clicking on the background layer and clicking the lock. Easy peasy. Alrighty, next. Let's grab this ball. Alright, we wanted to bounce up and down, alright? So let me close that. Click on this, press P. Now, once you open this, you're gonna look like this. It's just gonna show you a position layer. You want to separate the dimension before we start animating it going up and down, because it's easier to animate it when you just wanna when you're working in one direction, which is this UI. So let's click that. When you click on the stopwatch, it creates a keyframe at the time indicator, which is this blue line here. So let's do that again. I click the stopwatch, it's gone. I click it again, now it pops up there. All right, cool. So in order for this to move, we need to make another keyframe. Let's push this indicator here, and then we can click on this little button here called add or remove keyframe at the current time. We click that, and now it'll look at that. It creates a keyframe. Now that's not the only way to create keyframes. You can also just push this here and then actually move this here. Now move it below. Look at that. It creates a keyframe. It automatically creates a keyframe every time you manipulate the object to make changes. Okay, so look at that. We made it move. Congratulations. If this is your first time touching After Effects, you just made the first thing move. Alright, cool. Let's press F9 of that. So what does F9 do? What I just do? What is that shortcut F9? Well, F9 is a shortcut to make these normal lame keyframe into a ease keyframe. What it means that it is now it looks smoother, it looks nicer. It doesn't just move from point A to 1B in a consistent speed, because that is boring. It now moves slower at the beginning, move fast in the middle, and move slower again at the end, creating this really nice animation. But that's not what we would want here. We want a type of animation where it slows in the beginning and then it drops fast at the bottom, because that's how a ball bounces, right? So in order to fix that animation, in order to tweak the way this ball moves, we're going to have to use we're going to have to use the value graph editor. Now this is uh, can be scary, but as long as you just follow what I do here, you should be fine. Alrighty, so let's open up this timeline just a bit. This is what it's called, by the way. It's called the timeline, and what you see here is a little graph. This graph represents the y position. The y-axis represent the value of the y position, and the x-axis represent the time. So from the x-axis from here to here, that is 20 frames. You can see in this little display is you can see 0, and over here it's 20. Every 1 second is 24 frames, because if you go to the composition tab, I made it in 24 frames per second. And let me explain to you what this curve mean, right? It's a little weird. It's a little weird. So basically the gist: the steeper the slope is, the faster it moves. The flatter the slope is, the slower it moves. Alright, now you heard that. So let me demonstrate what I mean. So let's look at this. I want to make at the beginning more slow, right? As demonstration purpose, I click here. It pops a handle. This handle is used to manipulate the graph, make it just changing it. Very cool. You can click on it, hold down shift, very important, hold down shift, because it makes you move horizontally without going like up and down. You don't want that. Move it, shift, and check it out. Now I move it all the way to the right, and look what it made the slope. It made it flatter. So let's click on it. Let's see what I mean by flat. You see how flat that is. Because it's how flat it is, it moves slower. Let's see. Let's do a comparison. Control Z to undo, or you can press edit and undo. That's another option you can do. Let's click that and click the spacebar to play. Yeah, that is faster. That is faster than before we did this. We do this again. Now it's slower. It starts slow, but because we made this flat, this part becomes steeper, so that means it moves faster. Right? Cool. And we kind of want that. We want the ball to have a little bit of a drop before it falls down. And we want the end part of the graph here to move fast. So in order to do that, instead of making it flatter, we make it steeper. So we grab this handle and then we drop it down. Let's bring it downtown right there. Let's see what happened here. Ooh, it drops really fast. We don't want that. Not that fast. This is also 20 frames. I think that's a little too much. We can just bring it to 12 frames actually. You don't do that. We can just click here and move this here. And now you go. You can also move it in the graph editor. But hey, this your choice. You can just do it here or there or here. Whatever, doesn't matter. I think that's fine, honestly. Let's bring this a little bit here and let's make this a little bit steeper and see what happens. Okay, I think it moves way too fast. Okay, I think this is fine. I think it moves a little bit slow here. Let's bring that down. Bring it close to the left to make it slower. Not make it slow, but move it a little bit faster. I think it's a little too... Okay, I think that's better. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. So there you go. Pretty nice. So let's do the second bounce. So if this is 12 frames, we go and bounce, and every time it bounces, it loses energy. So it won't take 12 frames. It's probably going to take like, let's say, instead of 12, let's make it 10 frames. So it would be 22. We're going to add a keyframe here, and we're going to use the handles to make the arc of the next graph. So let's do that. You might be a little bit confused what I'm doing, but remember to play with the handles. If for some reason your handle is like this, and then every time you try to move this, it influences the other. In order to fix that, you want to right click, keyframe interpolation, go to continuous Bezier, and then just change it to this one, the regular Bezier, and then it should now let you move independently. Pretty nice. So let's try to make this hump as even as possible by making sure the handles are as equal. And we definitely want the dip to be parallel when you like put a line through it, and it's kind of parallel. This one looks parallel enough. All right, so let's make this like that. I think that works now. Now, how high should we have this hump? Now, we want it to have the hump decrease exponentially. We don't want to make it so high where it looks like, like, is that okay? We don't want it so high that it looks like this, because it's going to start look like a straight line. We want to make it like this. I think this looks fine. Yeah, that looks fine. Honestly, we can bring it up just a little bit. We're gonna see what happens now. Okay, I think we need more spacing actually. I think it was bouncing way too fast. Okay, that's fine. So there we go. I think this could be a little bit more even. Here you go. When you try to manipulate this height, you want to think about what type of ball this is. If this is a bowling ball, then yeah, you want to put it all the way down. I don't know why I keep messing with that handle, but yeah, you can bring it all the way down like this. Yeah, like a bowling ball. But yeah, remember you want to make it bowling ball, you gotta make sure it's the time. The time is shorter too, like that. Like that. That looks like that ball is very heavy. But we don't want to make a bowling ball. We want to just make a something like a basketball, right? Otherwise, keep moving that. It's a little annoying. All right, so let's bring it back where it used to be. Let's just Control Z. Yeah, that's good. All right. I also forgot to mention that a very important tip about measuring, making sure this slope is correct, is that the ball should be in the quarter of a distance at half the time. So what I mean by that is if you go to 12 frames and then divide by 2, that's 6 frames. So let's go to frame 6, and the ball should be 25% there to the distance, which it is. So we're pretty good on that. But if it's for some reason like like this, you definitely want to change the handle to fix that right there. Or Control Z, it should look like that. That looks like 25%. So that's good. I think I want to move this here too. Okay, it's really annoying how that is affecting it, but okay, here we go. All right, nice. Not bad bounce. Let's keep this thing bouncing. So 12 to 22 or 23. Matter of fact, well, let's see what happens when we do 22. Yeah, 22 is fine. So 12, 10 frames. Now let's do 7. So that would be, oopsies. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm using the page up and page down button. Keyframes uses to manipulate it. Once again, if you have it like this, right click keyframe interpolation and Bezier. There you go. I'm going to just Control Z that. But yeah, not remember that it has to the tip. If you draw a dot on the tip of these humps and you connect the dots, it should decrease exponentially. What I mean like that, it should decrease like instead of two keys. Sorry, instead of decreasing like this when you connect the dot, it should decrease like like this. Let me try to. Yeah, it should decrease like this, like a nice curve. We don't want a straight one. So let's go back to that. So I think this is fine. So the next one, if it's 7, let's move it down to like 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keyframe, zoom in. I'm holding down Alt and mouse wheel. You can also just use this. What is it? You can also use this right here to zoom in. That works. So let's make it like this. Make it smaller too, so the decay looks good. And then if that's full, let's do 2. Keyframe, zoom in more, and make sure it looks good. Okay, like that. I think it looks fine. See how it looks so far? Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think we can do one more. And that's 1, 2. And that should be the final one. Here we go. Boom, bam, bam, bam. It's pretty good. I like it. If you have just followed me doing this tutorial, you have literally just made a ball bounce. Pretty good. You literally did it. It's that easy. That's why the value grab is really nice. Instead of just like staying here and try to move this one by one, you just use this here instead. Play with the graph. And if you notice the graph, it looks like a ball bouncing, except it's upside down because the y-axis in After Effects um, is kind of weird. Because 0 starts at the top left corner instead of the bottom left corner. So that's why it looks like this. That's why 200 is at the bottom even though it's high. You just gotta, it's a little quirk that After Effects have. This is how they measure things. Now, after I tell you that, here's a pretty nice way to have a guide to make the decay looks nicer. You go to new, you make a null object, and then you go to P, position, separate by dimensions, press X, and then bring it all the way at the end where you want it to end, where you want the animation to end. You press Y, position, open this graph up. Definitely have it like this and bring this down here. You want it, okay, so we should probably something like, do something like this. I guess how like decay works. Yeah, that's how decay kind of looks like pretty much. And if you click on here, what this little button does, it keeps the graph on the value graph. So whenever you move to a different value graph like this, you could tell like, oh, you now see both. And looks like we definitely can make some changes here. One of them is, a lot of it is a little too much. Actually, we gotta fix that. So what's really nice about this, we could use it as a guide to make sure our humps is the correct length. So let's, so let's fix it. So let's bring this down. Let's bring it down like here. Let's bring this down. Let's bring this down. This is just me trying to follow this. I don't know why it does that. It's kind of weird. Yeah, should be close enough. I think honestly, yeah, just being like that, it's fine. You can't really bring much anymore. See how it looks like now? Now, this is just as a guide. It's not like a rule that you have to make it like this. You have to make it follow this curve. I mean, it still looks good. Like, it's definitely a ball. It definitely has like a more realistic bounce if it's not a basketball but something else. Yeah, so there you go. You could easily use that, or you could try to eyeball it. But you did it. You did your first freaking ball animation. Very nice. Now, once you get a hang of this and you want to try to challenge yourself and do something more interesting, this is what I did. This is a little bit more complicated. This has stuff. This has like mechanics that you haven't learned yet if you just started animation by watching our tutorials. This one is a little bit more complicated, but hey, if you are more of an expert in After Effects, then I encourage you to do something pretty cool. Do something a little bit more unique and creative than what just a prompt is saying. Like for instance, I made a slime that bounced across the hallway, and not only it bounces, but the little things inside his body is also moving on its own keyframes. But yeah, just to cut it short, I used no objects and have all the different parts of the slime to connect to the no objects over here, or no, over here. And then I connect this to another no object because I need to have the scale. But actually, you can actually combine this. You only need one no layer, but I made two, even though one is good enough. But yeah, a little bounce, a little bounce. Let's look at the value graph here. So if you remember, the steeper it is, the faster it moves, the flatter it is, the slower it moves. I made this hump flatter than here because when things are like up in the air at the climax, it kind of slow down a bit. So I made sure I incorporate that by making this little graph flatter and making this smaller. Very nice. So I encourage you to try to do something different, try to do something cool, and I am excited to check out what you guys are making. And of course, if you guys have any question about After Effects, hit me up, DM me, at me, whatever, and then I'll definitely help you out. All right, peace out. Good luck.